Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Shiny Shiba bringing you a bit of a different video today. We're gonna be giving a brief, I say mini critique, but it's probably gonna be a long video. A critique of Granblue Fantasy versus Rising, specifically the open beta that we played, as well as the I believe it was the same build of the game, but the I played more at Evo past the open beta. That is where I've been, and if my voice sounds a little scratchy, that's also why my voice sounds a little scratchy, because the Evo, I blew out my vocal cords screaming there. Evo was so hyped this year, but also afterwards I ended up getting sick, so that was not fun. Anyway, we're gonna break down this critique into three parts. Those three parts being great, good, and bad / suggestions. So normally when I critique a game, I'm very fucking negative and brutal when it comes to critiquing games. So normally it's good, bad, ugly, but I actually genuinely like this game. I loved Granblue Fantasy versus the original one. I thought it was incredibly fun. And it's some of the best fighting game experience I think I've had in the limited amount of time I got to play the game, because online is unplayable and the game released right whenever COVID started, basically. So just unfortunate timing from that. But this game, holy, this game has come out swinging. So I overall, the first impressions are very positive, and I think this game, with just some tweaks, right? Mainly balance related tweaks, and we aren't going to get too much into the balance of the characters and stuff, but we are going to talk about some mechanic balance. With some slight tweaks, I feel like this could be like a main stage game at Evo, especially if y'all weren't paying attention to Evo. They announced that there will be a free-to-play version of the game that you can just, play for free. It's quite limited in what it can do. However, they let you do a lot more than I'd expect. So I'm very excited to see how that turns out for the game. Hopefully we have a great launch, but we're going to start off with the great stuff. The stuff that that I think is like above other games in general, like just above games, not even just other fighting games, compared to other games, what I thought stood out in this game. And that is the first one. It has to be said, it's a fucking Arc Sys game, man. The visuals are perfect. This game is stunning. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It is truly eye-watering to look at. It is so pretty, and especially I want to point out two things, I guess, in particular. With the main one being the particle effects. The particle effects in this game are the greatest I have ever seen in a video game, period. It is so pretty. At times, it honestly looks a little bit too flashy, but like most of the particle effects are just genuinely really good. And the game, honestly, especially with some of them being like over the top, it feels like almost like a tech demo for what Arc Sys is cooking up in the lab with their new like engine tweaks. Because every time Arc Sys makes a game, they try something new. And it gets that little bit better every time they make a game. It really is impressive what the guys over there at Arc Sys are doing. But yeah, the particle effects in this game are just incredible. I do prefer they also changed the character models a little bit. The way those look, I generally prefer the new character models. I know some people are really mad about what they did to Zeta. I was on the subreddit, and I saw somebody was extra pissed about that. But I genuinely like them making the characters look a little more. I guess they look a little more mature now. But they definitely look. They look different for sure. I'll say that much. The next thing that I wanted to point out that was good, and a lot of this stuff is going to be that was great. A lot of the stuff is going to be a little bit generic, but the UI, man, the UI just really clean, quite easy to navigate. I do, however, wish in the main menu, rather than needing to use the right and left bumpers to navigate between the different sub menus, I wish you could just go left and right on the joystick, but we'll see how that stacks up whenever the game comes out, because there were very few menu options in the beta mode. So we'll see how that if that keeps up when the game comes out, but I feel like it will. Even still, the UI was still very pretty, even if they do end up bloating it when the game comes out. It's very, very nice to look at. Only complemented by how good the music is. Oh my god, the music in Granblue doesn't miss. In the last game, it was so good too. Like, Prettiest Alchemist is probably one of the best video game soundtracks, like, to date. That song is so gas. For those of you who don't know, Prettiest Alchemist is Cagliostro's theme, and everybody should listen to it because it's really cool. And then the new stuff they're doing, like the new Granblue Rising theme and the Proto Bahamut theme. Man, they're just on fire with these songs. And then some of them I do get a little sick of hearing because I've heard them a million times. Again, I did play Granblue quite extensively. The Granblue Versus, the first game. But man, some of them are literally timeless, especially the ones I have not, especially not Butterfly Girl. I've heard Butterfly Girl, Narmaya's theme, a million times because I'd like to preface this also. I played Narmaya for like the vast majority of the beta, and she was my main in the first game, and I think she's really cool. And I'm not going to talk about what I think about balance-wise too in depth, but I do think Narmaya is weak. Always has been, always will be until she gets reworked. But you know, it is what it is. I don't worry about it. And the next thing I wanted to point out was the load times. So I don't play many PS5 games. I bought a PS5 to play Demon's Souls. And I haven't actually finished Demon's Souls. I got like halfway through it on 2 playthroughs, and then I got to like near the end of the game on 2 playthroughs, but I never finished it, you know? So I actually should probably go back and finish that. But the load times in Demon's Souls are pretty good, but holy, the load times, you could tell when it was PS5 versus PS5 versus when it was PS5 versus PS4, because the load times on PS5 were insane. It was like playing on, it's like playing on PC, man. The load times, they just work. Were really short, great stuff. And the last thing is kind of general, a little vague even, but the game feel was good. The game felt responsive to play. I didn't notice any insane amounts of lag, especially for a console game. Hopefully the PC version has even less lag. That would be godlike. The normals feel really nice to hit. It felt really meaty to connect, especially the counter hit effects, man. It was really, really good. And then on top of that, the addition of a run button is so nice. It just felt like I had control over my character, with a couple of exceptions, and of course we'll get into that later in the, I believe that's actually in the bad portion of the review. We'll get into some more of that later, but generally, like the base game, everything that was in the last game just feels snappier in the new game. It feels, I guess snappy is the best way to describe it. It felt very responsive. And that's going to conclude our great section. So I guess we're going to get into the good. And speaking of good, we've really only got 2 things here to talk about. One of them, it sounds bad because I'm only going to mention, like, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 7 good / great things about the game. And then I've got a laundry list of bad here. But I promise you, I feel like the great and the good very, very much outweigh the bad for casual players. This is the perfect first fighting game, I feel. I think Granblue Rising is going to be the perfect first fighting game. It's got good single-player content for you to go through. At least it's looking like it's going to. I can't obviously speak to that yet, but the story mode and the RPG mode in the first game is really good. And the Fall Guys mode. What a meme. But yeah, they're very much hammering home that this is going to be like a game that has single player, that has content in it, right? And I very much like they kept all the characters in the last game. Lots of characters is good for, you know, casuals. They love their characters. But the first good thing that we're going to talk about is the netcode. It just worked for me. Like I only ran into like 2 matches that I would say were like unplayable. One of them was actually like unplayable, but I think that match was a fluke, because that match was the very last match of the beta that I played. The very last one was this match, and it lasted longer than the beta was supposed to. So the beta ended at, I think, a 3 p.m. EST, and this one lasted till 3:02. So like the whole match was after the beta period, and I think that might have been why, because it was like very like stopping mid game. It was not good. But one out of like I think I ended up playing like 60 wins. Did they count the wins or did they count the games? I ended up playing a bare minimum 60 games. So a lot of fun I had with the beta, and then I had more fun with the Evo. Whenever I played it at Evo, I had some people I could just talk with there when we were playing, because they did have a free play thing at Evo eventually, so we ended up playing that there for a bit, and it was a lot of fun. Hey guys, it's editor Shiba here, editing this in after the fact over my previous point that I was talking about with the one button specials. I think the one button specials for the game, the way they are currently, is great in terms of, you know, there isn't an advantage to do the special move input. The game just needs to be a little better balanced around how those moves currently work, as a lot of the charge moves in the current version of the game still feel very strong, or they feel a lot stronger than they were in the last game. They don't feel, I guess, exceptionally overbearing right now. However, they do feel quite strong, and I would like to see some rebalance that is made with the, you know, one button specials in mind, because everybody's going to be using the one button specials, and the game should, of course, you know, be balanced around that, because that's what everybody's going to be using. There just isn't a reason to use the technical inputs, except for, you know, muscle memory reasons, and maybe there will be some advanced option selects that come up later. I know Granblue had quite a few option selects throughout its life, but yeah, maybe we'll see some advanced option selects later that can only be done with the technical inputs. We'll just have to find out. I did want to give one suggestion though about how the one button specials, as their implementation of the controls, could be reworked. Right now, it feels odd to try to get like the light, medium, or heavy version of the move, and especially the unique version, because like if you miss time pressing both the buttons at the same time, you get the light version, or whatever version is by default, and it feels really not great, especially whenever like you're intentionally going for like the medium version and you get the light version and it fucks up what you're doing. It's really not a great feeling. What I would like to see is to have the ability button kind of work like how the assist button works in Street Fighter 6, where if you hold the ability button down and then press light, medium, or heavy, it does the special move. So holding the ability button itself wouldn't do anything. Pressing it itself wouldn't do anything, but pressing it plus light, medium, heavy, or unique would, of course, give you the respective special move. I feel like that would be a great option, even if it's not default. I feel like it would be a great option just to add in after the fact, because that would make the game feel a lot more intentional with each button press, you know. But yeah, I just wanted to edit that part in after the fact. I talked a lot during my original point about this, and I feel like I just rambled on a lot and didn't really say how I felt about the one button specials. So I'm just here to say that I like the way they've done this, and I'm glad that they did it, because the one button specials in the previous game did not quite accomplish what they were supposed to accomplish for new players. And they felt very restrictive, because the cooldowns were, especially the EX cooldowns, were very punishing, depending on your character, right? If you play a charge character, the cooldowns are extra long. Also, I am biased towards this, because if you played Narmaya in Granblue Fantasy Versus, she also suffered from longer special move cooldowns, because she has access to two, right? So the fireball that she had a longer special move cooldown, because she can do the light version or the medium version with the one button, depending on whether or not you do neutral plus ability or down plus ability. So she was also neutered by that. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. Let's move on to whatever Past Shiba was talking about. I do have another note here, though, in my script that I would like to see at least some minute advantage, maybe, for having for doing the special move. I think like a small, like 5 or 10% damage increase is like totally fair. But I do think that the easy mode specials should keep the cooldown aspect that they have now. They should keep the normal cooldowns, because that is very important to the game feel. Having access to your special moves and not feeling like you're being punished for using your special moves is very important for the power fantasy, and feeling like you have options available to you in a game that otherwise is quite limited by other fighter standards. There really aren't too many mechanics in this game, or buttons really, because they don't have like command normals. We don't have many buttons. It's only a 4-button fighter, and really for Narmaya, she doesn't even have a unique button. She just has a stance switch. So I guess Narmaya gets other specials because of that, but she's the exception. Okay, my viewpoint will be slightly tainted by my character, and that kind of ends the good section, I guess. One more thing that I would like to add to it, just impromptu, is that the game feel, like the last game was very fun. This is a very similar game. I think both games, they feel good. I put game feel in the great category, but the base gameplay is still good as well. Like the footsies, mainly the neutral, is really slow pace, especially when it's 2 Shotos in this game. It feels very intentional and like an actual like duel. It feels really tense. Even whenever you're not very good, it feels really intense. But that's going to conclude the good section here. We're going to start making our way now into the bad section / suggestion section. All right, and into the bad section now. So these have varying levels of badness to them, I guess. And I don't really know how to order them. So I'm going to ramble on about these quite a bit, because this is the stuff that the critique's really here for, right? This is the stuff I'd like to see changed before the game comes out, and it probably won't be changed before the game comes out. Game comes out November 30th. But on the off chance that we can get like a future patch or something, obviously nobody's watching, nobody cares about my opinion, but I just want to just vocalize some of the frustrations I had with the game, and some of these got much more frustrating as the beta continued, and especially when I went to Evo and I had more time with the game and I had time to talk with people about the game. A lot of people that I talked to casually were echoing some of these same sentiments. Some people disagree with me, but many other people were echoing these sentiments, especially with the Raging Strike. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is not too bad, but it's something just small that I think should be tweaked. The bravery points on the screen are kind of hidden. Bravery points are the new counter / meter material, whatever you want to call them, that powers the Raging Strike and like Brave counter system. And they're kind of hidden. You get 3 of these little gems, and they're at the top of the screen next to the timer. And the first time I saw them, I actually thought it was the round counter, and I thought they had made the game a 1st to 3 game rather than a 1st to 2. But no, it is still a 1st to 2 game. I think they should just simply swap where the Raging... I think they should just simply swap where the Brave points are and where the round count is on the HUD. I feel like it'd be more coherent with where other fighting games place their UI, especially with like even like Guilty Gear, right? Like even their own games this feels kind of weird where they put the round counter. Can't really think of a fighting game that puts the round counter there, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Most of them put it right next to the timer. But yeah, I just like, it's a small tweak that I'd like to see. It doesn't make too big a difference. I'll probably get used to just looking there as the game continues, but just a small thing that I noticed. The other things, the next thing is a lot more blatant and I feel actually needs to get changed. And that is that the ultimate skills feel like a proof of concept. They feel very, very beta, especially, of course, in the beta version of the game we played. They feel very early on in development. Some of them are very useful, like Normaya actually has one that's kind of useful. Her Setsuna or Dawnfly, I don't know, the one with the sword out, the stance with the sword out. When she does the flip, if she does the ultimate flip, it teleports to the opponent and does the flip on them, no matter where they are on screen. And of course, it also slows down the entire screen. So this move is very, very strong as a full screen instant whiff punish tool. It's very good. So that ultimate skill costing 50 meter makes sense. Also, it does cost 50 meter because I think there's some invincibility tied to it, and any of them that are invincible cost the full 50 meter. Whereas another example, just from Narmaya, because that's who I spent most of my time with, the like Mistfinder, the air slash, the fireball that she has, and her sheath stance, that shit was useless. No, who would ever spend 50 meter on that special move? Who would ever do that? It tacks on like a little extra damage, sure. Like you get full damage on it, whether it's point blank or whether it's full screen, but like it's so not likely to hit unless if you're specifically using it to call out some kind of specific option, that it feels very much like a wasted meter. And even still, the extra damage you tack on from it is just not a whole lot. Like it's not worth 50 meter, especially when you get, and I'll touch more on this later, how much damage. Actually, I'll just touch on it now, especially with how much damage the supers do in this game. The supers do an unreasonable amount of damage, and which is fine, right? It's like, you know, you got all your meter there, and it's they're pretty easy to hit actually, but the supers do an insane amount of damage. So the ultimate skills, like especially that one, just not tacking on that much additional damage is kind of disappointing. And the fact that you can't special cancel into them makes them like that one in particular, the fireball that Narmaya has, is exclusively used as like a hard call out tool in neutral for like 50 to 20. Technically it could be 25, but like if they jump it or anything, it's 50, and it's not like it has like any less cooldown or whatever on whiff, right? You're still getting jump in punished. It hurts, man. Like some of them feel really weak, and then especially with some of how good some of the other ones are, man. I thought Narmaya's teleport was broken, and then I saw like the cat bot, the Catalina bot that Loane throws out that just pushes you full screen like that. And then the black hole that Beelzebub has, man. Like some of these are like meme worthy special moves. These could be supers in their own right, man, and they are just tied to some of them. Like they don't have invincibility tied to them. So I think Loane's actually, don't quote me on it because, you know, obviously I haven't had a lot of time of the game. I haven't fact checked myself, but I think Loane's actually costs 25 if it connects, because it refunds 25 back, which is it's insane to me. Yeah, but the ultimate skills definitely need a rework, and I'll touch on this again here. Zeta Slow actually touched on this in his critique of the game, but the buffer window, I guess, on the ultimate skills, it feels really bad. Like it feels hard to get a ultimate skill out intentionally. I feel like that could definitely be reworked for sure to be a little bit more consistent, because, you know, you want to spend meter on that should be quite easy to get out. You don't want the barrier to be between whether or not you get it out. It's about, you know, your strategy and using it in the fight. That's very much what Granblue, this game, is about. This is why they got rid of the special moves having advantage over the easy mode ones. So they should go all in on this now, I think. And revert back a little bit. Like, come on, nothing for the actual input. Come on, but you know, it is what it is, man. It's not my game, I guess. The next thing is the throws. Yeah, I believe everybody's seen the tweet with the retirement home ass throw window. Yeah, definitely we could ease up on this throw window a bit. I feel like a lot of people were not pointing out that you do take quite a sizable chunk of damage for a delayed tech. But still, I think it's still too big. Like, you cannot get thrown. Like, as the game is going to develop more, nobody's going to be getting thrown, I feel. Like, you've got literally half a second to take a throw. As for tweaking it, making it a little smaller would be a good idea, the tech window. However, if they do want to keep it to where it's literally like you will always react to it, another thing I feel like they could do is make you a little bit more plus after the opponent delay text. So if you start the throw and the opponent delay text, you should be like more plus than you currently are, because right now it feels like they tech the throw, even if it's, you know, super late, they will, like, they're good. They're fine. They're chilling. But, like, I feel like it should be a little bit scarier, you know, in that it feels really... Throws felt very useless. It felt like the only way to open people up truly and get any meaningful reward was with a Raging Strike, which, of course, cost meter. And we're going to just get into that now. I feel like that's really all I have to say about the throws. But Raging Strike. I did not mind this mechanic when I was first playing. Day 1... did not mind this mechanic. Day 2 had me a little livid. Had me a little salty. I was getting hit with some Raging Strikes, and I was like, man, I really cannot get this Brave counter input into me. And then, like, but Evo time, when we were experimenting with it, man, I saw some people get mad salty about Raging Strike. And it definitely did reveal. Evo also did show that it had more counterplay than people were giving credit for. Like, you can spot dodge the Raging Strike, but it definitely is quite flawed in its current state, I think. I think Raging Strike could use some changes. The way I see Raging Strike is that it is a move that hits, and it can do two things, right? It can connect, and it can deal some damage at the cost of 50 meter, or it is a move that costs 25 meter that is unblockable, and it drains 50% of the opponent's SBA gauge, their super gauge. That's the real way that Raging Strike is, I think. It is, I view it as a move that does half of the opponent's SBA gauge, because most time, right? People are not going to elect to get hit by this. They're going to choose to Brave counter and go back to neutral, especially whenever we get later in the game, where we could be looking at you getting hit with one of these in the corner, and it's potentially a game-ending situation. So you just need to use the Brave counter. It feels really cheap, and it almost feels like a win more mechanic, because if you get especially if you get 50 meter first, but if you get 50 meter first in the match and you hit the Raging Strike, you're cashing out for damage, because it's free damage. It's 50 meter, but it's like free damage. This thing will connect, and it's going to do a lot of damage. The scaling on the Brave on the Raging Strike is just like, it's not there. Like, it does like basically unscaled damage. I don't think it should be like insanely scaled. Like, I feel like Perfect Parry in Street Fighter 6 is a good example of a cool mechanic that kind of gets the cool factor taken out of it by the fact that the scaling is so insane. Because for those of you who don't know, scaling on Perfect Parry in SF6, I think is like 30%. So it feels pretty bad, but it is still a good mechanic. I'm not saying that it's like weak or anything. Perfect parry, just that it feels weak just due to how little damage that you can get out of it. But yeah, Raging Strike, I don't even really know what to do with it. I mean, I had some suggestions for some of the other mechanics, right, on changes that could be made, but I don't even really know what to do with this mechanic. Maybe make it a little slower. Be like, you know, if you're looking out for it, you can spot dodge it on reaction, but then it kind of becomes like how Overhead was in Granblue Fantasy Versus, where it's kind of in this weird like niche use case area. I feel like this honestly wouldn't be as much of a conversation if the throws weren't so weak, but something's got to give with these Raging Strikes. The main thing that I would say is add some scaling to the Raging Strike combos, like the combos that begin with a Guard Crush Raging Strike into a Raging Chain. I think those need more scaling. And the next complaint that I have is with the dash button. By the way, God bless for giving us a dash button. Hallelujah. Thank you so much for the dash button, okay? But I do have there are some questions with why this game in particular is a dash button. I think this game should have a dash button, by the way. I'm not saying remove it. But the dash block in this game is non-existent with how weak it is, because after you dash, you have to wait forever until you can block. It's like almost 30 frames of waiting before you can block again. It's kind of insane. Your character, like, you'd think they just got finished running a marathon with how long it takes for them to block after. But yeah, it's a little sus. But you can instantly do like a roll or a spot dodge out of it. So obviously there are still ways around it. Of course, you can also do a running attack or the just run up and do a normal. There's lots of other options you can do. Just blocking is not one of them. But there is one thing in particular I did not like about the run button that I would like in some other games, but in Granblue it doesn't make sense. If you're holding back and you hit the run button, it runs forward. And like, while yes, that would be a good thing in like Uni Under Night, because dash blocking is really strong. Dash blocking is very weak, if not non-existent in Granblue. I think back plus the run button should give you a backdash. Like, it's a little odd to me that it doesn't even, because backdash is like something that you might actually consider doing in Granblue. And obviously it's very strong in like Uni 2 and stuff, but dash blocking in Uni is really strong, so I can see how some people might elect to have that in a game with dash blocking, but I think in Granblue it'd make much more sense if back plus the run button would just give you a backdash. Next thing, and that concludes, I think, the biggest things that I had with the gameplay itself. The next things are just kind of more minor things. Like, I think the game could use a medium plus heavy macro. Did Granblue 1 have this? I know it had light plus medium and light plus unique, because there were 2 throw inputs. I don't actually know if the first game had it, but I think the new game kind of could use one, because Raging Strike and Raging Chain and Brave Counter are all tied to medium plus heavy. And on controller, pressing 2 buttons at the same time, if they aren't like right on top of each other, feels really weird. So that's something I would like to see added, just as a quality of life for pad players. Quality of life change for pad players. I also kind of like to see tactical retreat brought back. So with Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, not only did they add a bunch of new mechanics to the game, but they also removed a bunch of old ones, like OD, thank God that's gone. And Tac Rush, also thank God that's gone. But they removed the like tactical retreat. I forgot what it was called, but like the invincible backdash that went like 1,000,000 miles away and costed half meter. I kind of wish they would bring that back, because I am call me a pussy or whatever, but I use that option a lot. I love me some V shift in SF5 too. So I would actually like to see that come back. I don't think it will, because I don't know what kind of balance changes that would entail, but I would like for it to come back. I mean, why not? I thought it was cool. I have a note in here for how frustrated I was with the if you have a beta for the game, I get that it was to test the netcode, right? But please just let me sit in the training mode. The first like hour of me playing the game, or maybe not an hour, it was like 45 minutes. The first 45 minutes of me playing the game was so frustrating because it was just me playing against people who had been playing the closed beta, wrestling with the controls. I just could not figure out how to get my character to do brave counters, raging strikes, ultimate skills, just trying to figure out what light, medium, and heavy is on my control scheme. Like it was very frustrating. I think every beta should just give you the training mode without the caveat of you're also in queue, and it automatically accepts the queue. Another thing that I noticed, this is a bit of a bigger one, I guess. There was no frame data in the game, in the beta. Now, in the last game, they did not have frame data proper, but they did have the little color coding stuff where, like, you could turn on the frame data colors, and if it was yellow, you're like ±1. If it's like red, you're minus, but you're still safe. If it's dark red, you're unsafe. If it's blue, you're plus. They had that in the last game. I didn't see that in the new game. I didn't see a lot of training options in the new game, though. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that those training options are going to come back. If they don't, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper. I love some training mode, but I really would like frame data to be added to the game. Dust Loop is a great piece of it's so useful. I love Dust Loop. Dust Loop might be one of my most used websites ever, but I don't think it should be necessary to learn the properties of your character's moves. That's kind of not the best thing ever especially for new players. They won't know to go to Dust Loop. Hell, I didn't know to go to Dust Loop as somebody who played fighting games forever. It took me forever to figure out what Dust Loop was. I'd heard it used occasionally, but like I knew what a Dust Loop was. I knew like Soul's combo where he does a Dust Loop, but I didn't know that like when people said, yeah, go to Dust Loop, that they were talking about a wiki with like frame data. So yeah, putting frame data in the game is important. Please don't make us pay for it. I'm just playing. Another thing was no Wi-Fi indicator. Really could use a Wi-Fi indicator. Please. This is like, I don't know why every game doesn't use Wi-Fi indicators now. Like, I know, I get it that like certain people will dodge games if they see that their opponent's on Wi-Fi. But like most casuals aren't doing that. It's mainly for the people who are like at a mid-level who want to get serious, or the people who are at a casual level that take themselves too seriously. I think a Wi-Fi indicator is overall great for the game because the playing on Wi-Fi and like not getting matched up by some people because, you know, they don't want to play against your Wi-Fi, right? It sucks, but it also really sucks to play against somebody who has bad Wi-Fi and just not know, and you just have to take the loss, especially when it's in ranked. You just have to take the loss. It really sucks. Even if the Wi-Fi indicator is only in ranked, I'll take it. Or even if there is no Wi-Fi indicator, you just have to like pick, do I want to queue with or without Wi-Fi players in ranked? Yeah, I don't think it should really affect casual. I don't think most people care in casual, but for ranked, especially, a Wi-Fi indicator makes the quality of life infinitely better. And the last thing that I have written down here is just that we need a dub. There wasn't a dub in the beta, and it made me, it felt so weird playing, because I watch my anime in dub, and I play my games in dub, right? Unless if I literally just don't have a choice, right? I just prefer dub because I don't really like reading a whole lot. Reading sucks. It hurts my brain. But there was no dub in the beta, and I'm very concerned because ArcSys has done this before, where Guilty Gear Xrd Sign had a dub. It had an English dub, and the Xrd Revelator dropped it. They did not dub Xrd Revelator. I got very scared. However, at EVO, I kind of had this confirmed that there will be a dub in the full game, because I was watching the stream. I was watching the game get played, and when they showed the new guy, I don't even remember his name, but the guy with the lance and the he kind of looks like Swiftmaster. When they showed him off, they showed his voice actors, and there were two, and one of them, that is loud. Okay. Just got jump scared by my notifications. They showed holy, I just lost my train of thought. They showed the character, and they showed two voice actors for him, and one of them was obviously a Japanese name, and the other one was obviously an English name. So I'm not doubting anymore that there will be a dub, but just please, Brianna Knickerbocker is the voice of Narmaya in my brain. It hurts me immensely to hear anybody else voice that character. Cannot wait for to hear the dub. But yeah, that concludes my list, really. Again, it got really negative there towards the end, just because, it is, I want to address the issues I have with the game in hopes that maybe they will be fixed, so that I can just experience what, in my opinion, is a better game. I just really would like the game to be as good as possible, because I feel like the game has a lot of potential. But that concludes my thoughts. If you have thoughts, if you think that I'm the dumbest person on this planet because I think that one button specials are the future for the game, leave a comment below. It's not a problem, really. But yeah, if you have any other thoughts on the game, if there's something that you liked about the game that I didn't touch on, because I know my good and great section were quite short, leave a comment below. Tell me what you liked. Tell me if you're gonna play the game when it comes out. I want to know what version of the game people are getting, because I'm gonna pre-order the best version of the game that I can get on PC day one. I am super hype. And ArcSys has yet to fail me on pre-orders, so we're going to keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. But that pretty much concludes the video. I have no outro. I am still awful at outros, so I'll catch you guys next time. See you.